who is going to be moving into tomorrow most likely in your eyes?
I think you'd have to be a bit mad not to bet on Astralis in this scenario. Like, they've already beaten them once within the tournament. They have the deeper of the two map pool, and wow, they've just won the major. So it's impossible really to bet against them. They are the heavy favorites going into this. Obviously, we know that MSL will know these players better than any other, but it's difficult to face off against such talented players. Device already opening things up with a double. The bomb left outside MSL on a retrieval mission to try and get this one back. Although already Xyp9x is actually going to put him down, and Glaive does the same to cajunB. That is already the first round over, and we didn't even get to sort of build into that round. It was just such a quick play out from OpTic rushing around the outside, and they got destroyed.
Well, you saw Zonic interview with Sadakis actually before the match even began, talking about how MSL's had some big words, saying we're going to be a top 5 team by the end of the year, and they don't need to rush it. But for them to have a chance to do that, I think this is like a decent start for them. Just to imagine kicking off their potential spree in this year by beating Astralis in a best of 3, getting through the playoffs where Astralis couldn't.
We all have dreams, Jason.
We all have dreams. Whether or not they come true is definitely going to be a different story, but they obviously have to have hope, and they have to find, I guess, the holes within their team and try to patch them up, as right now dupreeh is just knocking them down. That's going to be a quick 2-kill for him. And we'll be able to get down towards the lower side, but I don't think they're going to plant, though. Xyp9x going to be there, and Xyp9x will close it out. So Astralis with the early 2-0 lead. But what worries me, though, is we're going to Dust 2 as our second map.
I think they've got to be worried about Nuke first before they think about Dust 2.
Well, I'm just saying Dust 2 because it was a 16-1 when they met yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be as bad. I think that's a map where they really do rely on Config. Like, he is someone who definitely can dominate a map of Dust 2. He's had some incredible performances before. The only problem is those performances are rarer nowadays. Like, he's not just dominating like he used to. I think he is a very confidence-based player, so be interested to see what we get.
He actually finished with 8 kills on that Dust 2 match, where he had cajunB finished with 16.
Ooh, hello.
And cajunB was number 1.
This is aggressive. Pushes around the outside, gets a first, but Tessa's there at least to get the trade back. Not the worst case scenario, especially as that's one of the only rifles you actually see currently on Astralis. Sure, you have a FAMAS on Device, but the other is in this man's hands. They kept last round fairly clean, so it's not too much of a worry in terms of economy. Like, there will be a purchase into the next round for Astralis, and this is sort of played off as a bonus round, which nowadays in Counter-Strike you don't really see too often. Like, you don't get these scenarios where you have enough money to buy into the next round, so they're definitely going to relish this opportunity to really hurt OpTic early on in this game.
You can see they're trying to set up for a potential play here. They have time on their side, though. 50 seconds left to go on the clock. They do have the AK, the SG. Actually, they have pretty much all the weapons they could possibly want. Problem is, look where Xyp9x is going to be playing. Up close and personal. If they come around this corner, he could potentially get a spray down onto 2, but Tessa's being on 14 health. We'll get the first. That's Nico falling. Tries to spray onto the second, but Glaive will be there to back him up. And then we'll take Config down, which in reality is a very big kill, considering, yeah, you don't kill Tessa's, but he's still on 14 HP and has to somehow stay alive in a 2-on-3. So taking out a full HP target going to work out for Astralis. And not to mention, you have dupreeh being a sneaky snake, and look at that long-range shot comes through. cajunB by himself with a lot to do to save this round.
Yeah, there's so little time. 15 seconds. He just needs to try and kill everyone off. He has at least managed to get a first kill, but dupreeh very quickly trades, and a great round in the end from Astralis. Like, you can really see the sort of plays off of each other already starting to form. Like, Xyp9x getting that kill, but then milliseconds later, Glaive is there and doesn't even fight after that. He's just like, all right, I know that there's a player down on the site. Communication there, and even just some of the more free-flowing positions allowed for Magis as well to get aggressive. Like, that's something that OpTic are going to have to deal with. And they did manage to win a game earlier in the day on this map, but well, as you can see from the Betway odds, it's a very different scenario. They're playing against a brand new FaZe team who probably don't have too much in terms of maps prepared, whereas the opposing side is, well, basically one of the best teams in the world, or at least was one of the best teams in the world on this map.
It's not quite the 1.1, was it 1.01 to the 9 we had with Team Liquid up against G2, which did sway in so many different directions. But Astralis looking strong. 4th round going to be on the board here in a few seconds. Let's test this with the P250, can do something about it. But Tom, you know, looking at Astralis and how they played, like, this is a team that only gets scarier the further they get in the tournament. Yeah, they drop some group stage games, but when it comes to playoff time, they just do not lose maps. If I'm not mistaken, at the major, they didn't drop a single map in playoffs. So,
yeah, well, that's been their stat for the last few, so that's why they are so formidable. They are basically, if you created Flipside, but in God mode. Like, they always just played amazing at the majors. They may have even, they had some sort of poorer performances before it, but when it came to a major, they always turned up.
Well, it's going to be sexy as well if they do win. Sexy is, I guess, a really weird word to use for this. It's them versus Team Liquid in the semifinals.
Yeah, and then potentially the rematch of their match earlier today in the finals.
Yeah.
But obviously, long way to go. They've still got to get past OpTic. We're not writing them off just yet. They've managed to get themselves this far.
Hey, we got G2 through. Now we potentially get to see OpTic. If they can win this match, it would be interesting to see if that could happen.
It's not quite the same scenario. Like, OpTic have to try and come back and beat the team that they lost to in fairly dominant fashion, whereas G2 just had to win again.
True.
It's not
true.
It's like they did the same thing as they did before. Like, it's not quite as impressive as what OpTic will have to achieve. I don't want anybody like thinking they're going, yeah, no, G2 beating ENCE is just as good as if OpTic beat Astralis. No, this would be a massive upset in the tournament. And obviously, if Astralis don't actually get themselves to the arena, that would be ridiculous. Like, nobody's expecting that here, and well, that's what OpTic have to fight against. Either way, in terms of map control, it's looking like they're going to make a play towards the B site. They've gained Secret at least, although there's already a rotation from Magisk ready and waiting, and you can see Glaive is just spotting here. He still has utility. They've been holding on to quite a lot in this scenario and just trying to literally burn down the clock.
Well, 30 seconds left, and there's really not much time left to burn here. MSO trying to pick up where Config did fall. Unfortunately, going to lose out against Zipex, who gets his second of the round. Now down to the last 3 players for OpTic as they have to make their move with 18 seconds left. I think maybe that move is to save, but looks like they will be trying to hit this upper site, and you can already see Dupree is waiting, and Dupree is ready to pounce. He only gets the first, though, as KGB is able to close that out. The problem is getting the bomb down now with players all around you. Looks like he will be successful in this, but to defend in a 1-on-3, he's got to hit some God shots.
Yeah, luckily, Zipex was low. That's the easy one done. It's the other two that may be a bit of trouble, and well, Glaive is the first one that he fails at. It is another round on the board. 5-0 now for Astralis, but a bomb plant in all will give an extra purchase in at least for the T side, but this is sort of how tough it is. Like, you really are up against 5 Titans at this point. Like, Zipex has always been tainted as that sort of, oh yeah, he's the support player, which is an absolute load of rubbish because he is one of the most clutch players in the entire game. And also plays some pretty horrible positions in a lot of the maps, but still manages to make the well, even look at this round, just holding on to that mini position, not allowing anybody to get back in, and then peeking back around and killing a player as they walk onto the site.
I remember, actually, like, I think it was the first Pro League season back in 2015, I guess, 2000, whenever that was, 2000, a long time ago. And there was talks, actually,
back in the day?
Yeah, back in my day. There was talks about replacing him. And I remember looking back at his stats, and he had the most 1vx clutches out of anyone in the entirety of the Pro League, and he was such a solid player. And then going into the finals, you saw him do it time and time again, winning out on 1v3s, 1v2s, 1v4s over and over again. This man's an absolute legend, and I don't think he necessarily gets the credit he deserves.
He has a fair few majors. I think that might be credit enough.
I think from people.
Yeah, I think his bank account's probably doing all right as well, but hey, I don't know. I don't know the inside. But here we go. Smoke's on the outside. We are going to see that push. Nice nade already coming out. Whittling away at these OpTic players. They do still have a few Molotovs. But in terms of smokes, that's where they're limited. If they are going to try and maybe use one to get the bomb down, or even if they just want to smoke off some of the avenues, even just to try and get past. Like, again, it's just Glaive shoulder peeking. Spots out the majority of the team and then just wastes a lot of their time. And the fact is the players on the other side of the map haven't even budged yet. They're still just waiting up above. They've left it onto Glaive. He's even going to get the first pick as well. Gives them that man advantage, a second as well. He's already done enough. He slowed the play. He's allowed for the rotation of the remaining Astralis players, and he's got them a man advantage at the same time. What more can you ask for?
Well, they still have a player towards the upper. KGB was there, and KGB's going to get the kill as he was able to push in through mini. Dupree waiting, though, gets the bomb now down. 20 seconds left to go. KGB again, alone versus 3. And this time, he won't even get a single kill or the bomb plant. And Astralis now off to a 6-0 start. You know, we talk about Astralis and how definitely going to be the favorites in this matchup, but we also have to keep in mind that OpTic, they're basically playing not only for a playoff spot, but to kind of make a name for themselves, considering they won't be with the OpTic brand much longer. They got to find a new organization, and what a time to start things off of potentially being Astralis, getting through the playoffs to get into that bidding war with some orgs.
Yeah, well, they've got to pull off a miracle like that. I don't think that should be the turn-off for any organizations looking at this team. So, well, they can't be one of the best teams in the world. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, especially with the current climate. Magisk, very aggressive on this outer point. And, well, why not? 3 kills for him already. It is just pistols, but Config still manage to at least close out Glaive. Retrieving the bomb might be a little bit difficult because Magisk is not finished. He still wants to try and do a little bit more. Will be spotted out. And actually, another nice shot from Config. As said, he's sort of the player that you look towards in this team. Like, everybody else, at least in previous rosters, has been put as more of a supportive player. I suppose Tessus is someone that's a little bit more of an unknown quantity, at least to the majority. So we don't really know what to expect, but at least in recent times, like, Cajun has not been a star. MSL has always been a sort of in-game leader type, and Nico, again, has been forced into more supportive roles. So it really does have to be a lot on the back of Config, and hey, he's done some damage in this round. Even a 3rd Deeg now. This really is costly. The question is, can he do anything more? Can he steal one away? At least getting in close, but Xyp9x is there to help out, finish off that kill from Device. Still, not a bad round for him. And you kind of hope that that maybe leads to a little bit more confidence in some of his plays.
And speaking of confidence, I remember the last time you and I casted OpTic was actually during the Pro League this last season. And we saw MSL and just his, actually maybe a bit of qualifier for like Chicago or something. We did cast not too long ago, and we saw his play on Inferno with the AWP and how like aggressive and cocky he would get with it sometimes. And it worked out in his favor quite a few times. The downside was, at least back then, he would get one, and then he would try to stay aggressive and then get caught out and die. But we know he can hit his shots. I want to see him start to step up with the AWP, maybe challenge the likes of Device if he potentially can. We're not going to see it towards ramp room because look at Xyp9x able to push up. dupreeh gets so aggressive, he takes the lobby control, goes up the ladder, kills 2. And OpTic Gaming now have to clear basically everything if they want to go back inside to their own spawn.
This is just domination at this point. They're still pushing. They are not giving any map control up. Well, it's left all onto Nico. He has 1 kill to his name currently. He needs to add 5 more if they're going to win this round. I can't say I'm much of a believer here, Jason. He's going to be making his way in towards the site, though. Doesn't have control of the bomb. The only real positive is the fact that he has some time. Unfortunately, that time is cut short.
Yeah, and looking at the way Astralis are playing, like how aggressive they're being, they basically own 75% of the map, it feels like. What, Magisk pushed outer, got 3 kills.
It's about,
they
don't
pushed
own
lobby.
Spawn. That's about it. I suppose Spawn does run for quite a big portion of the map, but I think that this is bleak. And yeah, they need to take a pause. They need a moment, because that is ridiculous. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous that dupreeh's just able to push out like that, get in towards their spawn area and do damage while they're lining up their smokes. Like, these are not plays that should be possible ever. So this is just sheer confidence. And on the other side of things, like, MSL is meant to be someone who's like, we saw like the pick that they actually had when they played them earlier in the tournament. They went for Vertigo. They tried to find like a hole within the defense, a map that maybe Astralis aren't quite dominant on, and they gave them a bit of a run on it. Yep. Sure, okay, it went to Dust 2, it was a blowout, yeah, whatever. We didn't expect them to like dominate the whole series, but that at least looked promising. At the moment, this pick doesn't look promising at all. We've seen nothing so far. Like, already 2 players on over $10,000 on Astralis. 8 rounds up, and we know that when they were dominant on this map, they're actually able to win quite a lot of T rounds, which definitely doesn't help the situation. And every trade at the moment seems, at least, to go the way of Astralis, but a nice couple of kills for Tessus.
I think OpTic have had more success with the Deagle that they've actually had in their gun rounds.
No doubt. It's not even a question at this point.
And the thing is, like, obviously, we can talk about that way, but with how well Astralis are already playing so far, with how aggressive they're being without being punished, OpTic have to fight for every inch around this map, or sorry, if you're from Europe, every centimeter around this map. It takes time to clear all these angles. It takes time to push all these positions. And we've seen the clock run down quite a few times. They're able to push this one and actually get the bomb down because they're able to clear out ramp room with the pistols. But again, maintaining this now in a 2-on-3 with Nico on 12 health is Not very likely, but that might make it more likely, though. This Glaive will go down. H&B, that's going to be an interesting position for him. So many angles to watch. Spots at the first. Takes down Device, going to swing around. Takes down Dupree as well. Nico comes through to save it. With 12 health, he gets 3 kills. More importantly, he gets that first round that they needed.
Yeah, sick round from him. 12 HP, 3 kills.
And that was just a pistol buy-up as well.
Yeah, that wasn't much invested from them. It was actually just weapons that they found along the way that was able to do the majority of the damage. So, yeah, and especially when Zipic starts things off like that, like, he almost got 3 kills. Like, Tessa's was, I don't know who it was very, very low on HP. It was actually Nico. If he gets that kill, then this clutch isn't even possible. So, yeah, almost still for the CT side, but now we're starting to see a little bit of a build. A nice early pick comes in onto Device. MSL winning that early AWP battle, and now they can actually look to try and set up into some of these rounds. The problem is the nade damage back in return. Config and MSL down below half HP, and they can't really afford to give anything here. But I think this should at least earn them a little bit of respect, because that was something that clearly Astralis were not giving them in the early portions of this map.
I wonder if that respect actually will be earned, though, considering how aggressive Zipex is still playing and still potentially being able to play if he wants to push up in towards Radio Room and further. Glaive's still going to be able to catch him out if they push around this corner. With them already being low HP, it might be deadly. First shot comes through, takes down Nico. Escape, this is going to be tough as he jumps down, and Tessus will not allow him to run away this time. But still, Dupree's there to back it up. Man advantage might be for OpTic at the moment, but I still feel like Astralis are in such a good position. I feel like they still have the upper hand here, especially if Dupree gets a shot off.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needed. That's also the bomb, and well, now Zipix peaks at exactly the same time. And the moment they turn around is when he'll push into the round, and well, one by one, we just see them fall. 20 seconds left. It's the same scenario again. It's always K&B in these clutch situations. He's not bad at them, that's for sure, but everything just falls into place for Astralis. Every little bit of timing was perfect on their side, and well, once again, they managed one. They at least got a little bit of a bonus in economy. I don't know if you could check. I think they should have enough money for a buy here, right?
Yeah, they do. They got 7K on Nico, 6.7 on MSL, and like 4.5 or higher on everyone else. So they definitely have the buy. But again, it seems like their faster play might actually work out. Because the round they took was actually catching out Zipex on headshot box. Yeah, on headshot box over towards ramp room, and then they're able to push that down towards lower. Yeah, you could say, Nico got a little bit lucky, being on 14 HP, getting the kill onto the man pushing towards ramp. But still, it seems like the faster play is technically working out. Because then you even think about MSL. I talked about being aggressive opper before. He gets the peek in through Squeaky, took down Device. They get the early man advantage, and then if they can, convert that man advantage into a round win, they can start putting some on the board.
The other thing as well is that's only the second time they've managed to get a bomb down. Like, other than that, all the slow plays, they managed it once, and that was when I think KGB was in a 1v3. So, like, considering that's one of the only successful things they managed to do, then sure, maybe they should be picking up the pace. That's something that a lot of teams do on this map. Like, just attempt to just blow straight out of A every once in a while, just to try and catch them off guard. And I think the main problem we're seeing is Astralis are being given way too much space to make plays. Luckily, this time, Nico just finds a kill onto Magic straight through the smoke. And that will net them the man advantage once again.
It seems like they're almost not forcing Astralis to give them respect off the get-go. Like, where's the man rushing? Oh my gosh, Clave. Just peeks around, takes out MSL. But we're not seeing them try to, like, rush down vents, not get a man down there. We know Glaive or Magis likes to hold aggressively towards the outside. We've seen that now quite a few rounds in a row. They're not keeping, I think, Astralis honest.
I think that was
the utility usage.
Extra smart as well from Glaive, because in your mind, it's like, Magisk is dead. No one's going to push outside anymore. And then 2 seconds later, he pushes outside. Bomb dropped again, but ultimately at this point, they're just losing map control over the place. Dupree is now just aggressive into the lobby. Like, if anybody comes around the corner, Nico's going to have to hard check this angle and just expect someone to be in the corner. Otherwise, okay, or just flick to his head. That works too. He at least seemed to be doing all right individually. Cajun was able to at least grab a little bit of map control back, but just look at the time, 25 seconds. They haven't even got anywhere near Zipix yet, and he's been someone that they've really struggled to get near. Now there's the peek out as well, and Zipix finds another It's left all on to Cajun B. I've said that about 4 times in this map, and I'm going to tell you guys, it hasn't gone so well so far. In fact, I think he's lost every single one. And this one.
Yeah, that's, I think, at least the third 1v3 we've had for KHB. And it seems like the lurk isn't... It's kind of hard to judge the lurk at some sense for me, but it hasn't really worked out. It seems like when he has gotten a position to do something, well, he doesn't have his teammates there. They're already dead. They've been picked off.
I think when you have one round and it's off the basis of pistols, nothing works.
That is fair. I cannot deny that.
And the problem is, like, the thing is, if you start trying to directly counter a lot of the stuff that Astralis is doing, that's where it plays even further into their hands. That's the toughest thing. They are going to go for an aggressive push, though. First time we've seen a proper rush in towards the site. Nico is going to get the entry, but there's still Magisk around, and he's been strong so far. Glaive with him to get that crossfire down, and they're just destroying the opposing team. This time it's MSL in the clutch. Hey, 1v4, he gets the first. The problem is the bomb is dropped, and they know exactly where he is. Surely this isn't possible, and wow, Device ends his suffering.
11-1. I mean, we did see, was it 11-1 with G2 versus Team Liquid on Inferno yesterday? I think it was 11-1 that turned to 11-4.
Yeah, it was 11-1.
So we see that be doable in some other matches over this event.
It's CT side Nuke. Like, if we go back a few years, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's
really not. You know, back when Very Games was around, when NIP was good.
Low blow. Low blow.
It's true. My bad. Look at this Glaive. Is he going to push him behind them? They're on pistols again. They've been successful with this before. Magisk, though, waiting. Only get one, so a decent trade comes through. Not able to recover the weapon just yet. There we go. Nico's able to pick it back up. But Xyp9x is still going to be here. Confi's going to have to hit these digs yet again. Oh, so close to being caught out there.
I think Xyp9x is expecting to be pushed. He's actually falling back further up the ramp, just waiting to retake this with his team. There's not a whole lot of utility on either side, in fact, and that's why we're sort of seeing MSL trying to get a bit aggressive to at least maybe get a kill, steal something away, give them a little bit more of a chance, but ultimately, it's very patient from Astralis. I quite like this. Just don't give them any weaponry, force them to plant the bomb, force them back into the site a little bit. Now they can start to try and pinch them in, and MSL has actually managed to catch out Glaive as he tries to rotate. Device is still around this angle, and he's just going to slowly maneuver his way through the vents. I don't know if they'll expect a second player. Dupree gets 2 kills before anything can be done, and now it's left all onto Config. We haven't seen too much from him, but this could be the moment. Already Dupree so desperately low on HP. The nade goes up, but Config isn't low. He has a good chance of this, and he will take it as well. Big clutch out from him. A second round on the board, at least, for OpTic.
Let's get Config lurking. Like, he's been able to pull off a 1v3 there. Worked out well for them in the end. And again, what was the strategy that won the round? Rush with pistols, get in quick. They took a little bit of time to get the bomb down. That's fair. But they got aggressive. They changed the pace.
The other thing as well, though, is like, I'm not sure how much of this I can really put down to strategy. Like, obviously, getting yourself into an after-plant scenario definitely helps, but both of their round wins are off 3Ks from one of their players right at the end of the round. So it's not like this is an MSL masterclass. This is more just a couple of individual plays that have at least got them a couple of rounds. So strategy-wise, it still hasn't gone very well.
Yeah, sorry, I actually thought Config was going to fall to his death there because he's being shot as he was dropping. Knocked down to 27 off the bat. But we might talk about OpTic only having 2 rounds, but the economy, look at Astralis. They don't have really any money to spend.
Doesn't stop them pushing.
Oh, yeah, of course. But they've been able to do decent damage OpTic side to Astralis into the economy game. The problem is it's not really translated into rounds, and if it does now, will 4 be enough on the T side to spring a comeback as they swap over?
It's workable, but I think even just talking about 4 is somewhat optimistic. Like, you're going to need another big play to come in. They have managed to get Heaven control. The wraparound does give them a lot of space, but again, it seems evident that Astralis knows that they could be up there. Magisk at least needs to get himself one kill, and he will have heard the drop. He knows that they're within the site. dupree's going to get Molotov'd off, but he still gets the kill onto the man, pushing back in through Mini. Zipex also within the site gets one more, and now it's Testis. It's his turn to pull off the big play, but unfortunately, it's not to be. I feel like whenever one of those plays is denied, it's Device getting the kill. It just seems to be his like, no, not today, thank you. And yeah, that's going to be a 12th. Still enough money, at least for a purchase for OpTic into this final round of the half. But even if they do manage to get a 12-3, like, as said, when Astralis were like utterly dominant, like I mean that they hadn't lost a single map, and I can't even remember how many, it was so many ridiculous wins in a row. They were getting high rounds on the T-half. Like they were getting like 7, 8, more than that round. So they need 4. Like realistically, even if they were playing like to the standard we've seen more recently, like before the major, I'd still expect them to be able to get 4 T rounds on Nuke. Like as the Death said, it's a map that they might have even picked into.
And then you think about Dust 2, where they already won 16-1 yesterday up against OpTic Gaming. So it's going to get even tougher as they do swap onto the second map. Utility's not quite there for Astralis, so there might be a chance for OpTic to get a third if they can hit their shots. And MSL's been... well, he's been consistent on first kills with the op. Oh, almost had a commentator's curse come back into play there. I was getting a little nervous. But he gets the kill again. But my question is, what can they do off the back of that kill? Can they translate that now into a round victory? Glaive's pushed up. He's got support from Magis. Flashbang's going to come out. You might actually peek around the corner from this.
They have to expect this at this point, though. It's happened so many times that there's been a player on this angle. They're literally next to each other, and MSL jumps up, takes off his opposing in-game leader's head. He is now the king. But dupreeh is still going to get aggressive, still try and take back some control. Just straight through the smoke, Zipex has caught another. Whenever a round seems to be firmly in OpTic's favor, someone steps up to the plate. They should be able to rotate another kill from MSL. That's 3 within this round. Surely this has to be one they take.
Like you said, the rounds they have won, someone's gotten a 3K. This could be round 3. So you got Zipex coming from ramp. You got dupreeh coming from secret. And there you go. MSL gets the 4th. A chance to pull off an ace here, but Zipex going to be in a 1-on-3. And Nico will shut him down. So OpTic will get a 3rd round on the board. It will be a 12-3 half, but will 12-3 be good enough as they do swap over? And to be honest, I think a lot of people out there are going to be worried for them.
Yeah, no, this is a really, really tough position for them to be in. And to be honest, like just the way that they've actually had to steal themselves rounds is kind of ridiculous. Like the fact that it's been either a 3 or 4K winning them one of their rounds is somewhat ridiculous. Either way, we'll be back after a short break to see if they can turn this around on the CT side of Nuke.
Welcome back to the action of our first map here of the last best of 3 of the group stage. It's Astralis up against OpTic, and it was a 12-3 first half scoreline for Astralis on the CT side of Nuke. I'm Jason Kaplan, still joined by the wonderful Tom Biz. And Tom, as we move on to the T side, you've already hinted at this many times and talked about it quite a bit. Astralis are a team on Nuke that will put up 6, 7, potentially 8 rounds on that T side. So what the hell is OpTic going to need to do on the CT side to be able to hold them back? Because they're going to have to. This is their last chance to make it further in the tournament.
So you saw those 3 rounds that they won where one of their players went kind of nuclear. We need all of them to do that at the same time. Then they might be able to win the map.
Okay. Well,
that'll help. And even then, that might not be enough. That's the worrying thing. Like, it's Astralis. They're so good at the T side of this map, or at least we've seen it from them, and they definitely seem to be coming back into form off the back of that major. Sure, EG definitely are giving them a run for their money, at least within the group stage, but they did that at the major as well, and then it came to playoffs, and Astralis were a different beast, and well, EG, NRG at the time, definitely didn't quite seem the same. Look how much map control Dupree has managed to get wrapping around the rafters. Takes a couple of shots, but he gets the kill anyway. There's a man below him he's got to watch out for. Nico still on the site, but surely he's going to get overwhelmed, and that will allow the bomb to cross in. There's another player on the site itself that they have to deal with, just around that vent position. Config just waiting for that smoke to fade, lurking around these different players. It's all going to be who gets the drop on the other. Device is literally stood next to him. And Config will save his teammate just about. The remainder is still within the site, though. And one by one, again, it seems like every round that's close, a player falls with this onto Config. He's already clutched one of these rounds. He's got a man above. He knows it hits the shot as well. And gets the last one as well. What a play from Config. As said, this man has to be the one to lead the way for this OpTic side. And he's going to get a 4K in the pistol round and basically save it for them. Without him, it's not even close.
Tom, you saw how much ammo he had left in his gun on that last kill, right?
No.
One bullet in a dream hits the shot.
That's Config. That's what he does.
One bullet left and he hits it and wins the round. Well, like you said, for OpTic have a chance on the CT side.
If he had 2, he would have missed.
You know, knowing the way the universe works sometimes.
Exactly.
Definitely, yeah. And look at those odds. That looks very familiar for what we talked about. Betway odds, 1.01.
It should be 1.02 now that they won the pistol round.
Yeah, just
I give them an extra 0.1.
That was just insane stuff out of Config. Let's see if he can do it yet again. And you already mentioned someone has to go Nuke. Oh, okay.
You what? I didn't even see. I had X-ray. I don't even know what he just hit. Well, this is the power of the SG buy, for anybody wondering. This is something that a lot of teams do now that they can get it with the bomb down. Already 2 opening picks coming in for Astralis. And, well, this comeback might be very short-lived by the way things are going, but Config has at least been able to find Device. I think that's one of the AKs down. It is. He's managed to retrieve it as well. Dupree doubling back in. Has to be careful because Cajum's up above, and he's going to get an important double. That might have just saved them here. It's left all onto Magisk. He now has that trusty SG in his hands, but Config is waiting just around the corner. Does a lot of damage to start off this hold from the CT side. There shouldn't be much of a chance for him here. He does have the bomb. Now, if he could double back down to the B site, that's a free bomb plant. I don't think there's much they can do about that. He's actually just going to be waiting as close to the door as he can get. But, hey, this should at least be a little bit of extra money for Astralis to play. But Cajum seems to be aware of it. Ooh. Oh, can he get away with it? I think he might just have done. Yeah, that's money at least.
I still don't want to count him out just yet. Okay, I'll count him out now. So, OpTic
takes a bullet in the face for Jason Kaplan to be happy.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to count anyone out for Astralis. Could be 1v5 and still have them having a slight chance there. But you mentioned before, if OpTic want to have a good chance, Config has to step up. He was unable to, unfortunately, in the last match they played against each other. There's your shot. Earlier on the group stage, it was actually Cajun be the one to step up. But hey, if Config start to hit shots like this, yeah, Nuke might not go their way, but maybe there's a decent chance of getting a Dust 2 if he can really pop off like the way they need him to, and if everyone else is able to start hitting their shots. You know, MSL has looked decent so far, I'd say, in this series, as decent as you can be when it's a 12-5 scoreline at least. And they've got Astralis on the pistols, so maybe we can get a 6th round on the board, but we've already seen OpTic win a couple of pistol rounds themselves.
We'll see what they can do. It is pretty much said that within the Danish scene, there's only a couple of players that you can really argue could get into this Astralis team. And one of them is Config. I'll take that one. The other is probably Valde. Everyone else, like, they've either been in the team previously, it didn't work out, or just didn't see too much of them. Nice shot from Glaive. Even still, though, the man advantage captain. Although the crossover comes in towards Secret. This is more just to try and retrieve some weaponry, not something that they can really do too much with, especially based off the position of the bomb, the fact that they've only got the smoke that Glaive literally just picked up. Let's see what he can actually do with it. Is there any space he can gather? Just going to throw it in to try and section off that small portion of the map. And if you've noticed, there has been a rotation from Config. So there might be an opportunity for the remaining players to try and get into the A site. Instead, they're going to start pushing Tessus. He hasn't had the best game so far. 5 and 17, 28 ADR. KGB's there to support him, but even still, Tessus goes down. And while Zip, this is just an attempt to do damage.
Yeah, 9 HP at Deagle.
Did you count him out?
Honestly, no. With it, ZipX,
you don't want to
no.
say it. You just don't want to say it.
I will never count ZipX out. Like I said before, even on the threat of potentially being kicked from Astralis back in like the first Pro League season, this man had the most 1vx clutches. I think open his door is basically going to solidify it, but again, he's one player I think in this entirety of Counter-Strike I would never count out in a 1vx situation. He just has this power, this magic to him.
Yeah, he can definitely make you look like a fool. I think there's been many... I can pretty much say probably every top pro has had a moment where they just go, well, yeah, we lost that clutch, but it's ZipX.
Yeah, it's ZipX, come on.
Let's just get over it. Like, this happens every once in a while. There we go. A proper buy coming in for Astralis. No AWP, but that might be based off choice. dupreeh does actually have a little bit of extra money, and so does Glaive, so might just be looking to try and have a bit of a faster take. ZipX spamming through. Does a little bit of damage, but not anything to really worry about on the OpTic side. And we're going to see these same nades to smoke off Mini once again. Trying to remove space, vision away from the opposing side. MSL had a great AWP clip at the end of the last half. Just lots of players jumping over, though. It's like they're just playing with him in that AWP, and in fact, it does give up the space.
He does retreat away, though. He's not going to miss that shot. He's now to take the time to jump across. Looks again, they're catching OpTic on the rotate. They're catching get aggressive. Tessus was dropped. Nico's down to 22 HP. MSL will be blinded up and killed off here, too. And look at that, dupreeh again. Just going by himself on the outside, picks up 2 kills. Sorry, 1 kill. That was Device to get the other one. But the pressure of that late lurk is really working well for Astralis. He did it even on the CT side, funny enough.
Yeah, and unfortunately for OpTic, this is a moment it doesn't look like they're going to challenge. They have a little bit of extra money. Config will be able to drop a gun. I don't think Cajun can, though. And it's one of those scenarios where you're saving to maybe just keep those 2 weapons or go for a risky force. The problem is they're so far down after the first half that you might see some crazier or riskier plays coming out from OpTic when it comes to their purchases, because it's like, oh yeah, we can eco here. So, but then they have 14 rounds. Do we want to give them 14 rounds? Probably not. But what if we then lose that? Then they have 15 rounds. It's like, yeah, there's not really a good choice. Like either way, you're in a bad scenario because of how bad the first half was. And even when you go to the oldest iterations of Nuke, and where you could see like 14-1 halves, you can have scenarios like that where, say you lose too many T rounds or too many of CT rounds, like you have to make decisions based off maybe the mistakes or what happened in the first half. It's always been a factor within Nuke. Like that's why people always wanted to start on that CT side, so you didn't have to make ridiculous comebacks like this.
Yeah. And obviously the mentality that kind of affects you for OpTic, knowing that, well, if we lose this round, then they have 14. If we invest and we lose, they're gonna have 15 eventually. Like, you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt, considering you have to ignore that kind of threat when you move on to the second map. You have to kind of reset your mentality, or you're gonna be knocked out of the entire tournament. And that was just the first buy run out of Astralis. Not only do you have to beat them with a 4-step as we see here, but you have to consistently do that for quite a few rounds just to equalize things in this match. So now into our 20th round. Probably gonna see some aggression out of Astralis with Squeaky Door and Device. Look how much real estate he's gotten. How aggressive he is able to push up here with no one there to contest him.
Yeah, this is kind of mad. Like,
no smokes, and he gets in secret.
He just walked through. It looks like on OpTic side, they're just kind of happy to turtle up. And yeah, there's not even anyone rotating because they actually don't know. they don't know. They've just gambled onto ramp. There's been quite a lot of pressure there previously. And I guess if they can keep ramp control, that will make a retake on the B side at least a little bit easier. So I suppose there's an argument there. You're also going to see Tessas just having a little look around just to make sure there's nobody coming in on the flank as well. So they're at least trying to have a bit of a look for information, but this is the tough scenario of when you don't have the perfect buy. You don't have that AWP. You don't have the person who can really challenge with the amount of utility you'd like. You have to make sacrifices, and the sacrifice they made is, okay, we'll hold ramp. We'll make sure they don't get that portion of the map at least, but we are going to have to sort of sacrifice the battle for outside.
But I'm almost scared they're going to get flanked at ramp. I don't think... Yeah, Tessa's not watching the angle. I don't believe MSL really is either. Glaive just trying to cause a bit of a distraction as the bombs make its way in towards the lower. I think they now know, yeah, well, we've lost lower considering there's fire everywhere on the ramp. And Glaive's going to watch for some rotates. So really tough times here for OpTic to fight their way back into this. How do they get back in to this actual bomb site? Or are they just going to try to save?
Well, even that's looking to be a little bit difficult. And yeah, it's a horrible scenario. They gambled. They didn't have the best of buys, and it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked at all. Now in a 5v4 retake, just trying to hold on their weaponry into the next round. Magic should be caught here. Bit of a crossfire available, but even still, for Astralis, sure, they could take the risk here and try and do some damage, but their money isn't amazing. It's not like they're really out in front with the amount of finances they have, and in fact, they're just going to opt to try and find a safe corner and hold on to all their weaponry as well. So yeah, 8 players survive at the end of that round. Not something you see too often, and it pretty much could have been the full Monty, really, with everyone keeping on to their weapons, but instead, a couple of players go down, and now we're right back to where we were before, but instead, 14 onto the board. It gets ever closer to the finale.
It's not like there's going to be a lot of money to rebuy up for Config either, just a FAMAS at ham.
I think the same as last round, isn't it?
Yeah. They do have an SG. They have an ump on Tessas. So I think he actually dropped the FAMAS over to him and bought up an ump. And you even have an AK in there still for KGB. Device, again, is he getting... He's so much freedom.
They're not firing it.
There's no smoke to stop him. There will eventually be a player, though, from lower heading over towards Secret. So it's not like he's going to have this for as free as he did last time. But that player's going to walk directly into his crosshair. And now they get the man advantage against a team who doesn't have a solid buy.
This is so much free real estate for the Astralis side, and they could even just try and do some smokes that actually wrap them round, but it's kind of one of those scenarios where you go, what's the point? We've just had Secret for free. We might as well just go towards this B-site. Config is now going to have to be the hero once again, waiting around this corner. He shouldn't get more than one here. That should be all, but he does actually manage a second. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of bullets left in that FAMAS to try and get a third. But he's at least given them a chance within this round, which is something that I didn't even really expect them to get.
I think Glaive is going to be really impactful as well, considering he's still lurking. Going to be shutting down any event play. Device trying to watch the flank here. Takes down Nico. Now it's going to be a 3-on-2. Now a 3-on-1. Tessa's alone. The ump's not going to work out for him. And now Astralis are going to be on map point at 15-6.
Yeah, never really looked like there was any way back into this game for OpTic. A few rounds in a row, but ultimately the second the buy came onto the board, and wow, I think they've just showed how much they're going to abuse like the holes in the defense just as much as they did when they were on the CT side and pushing aggressively. Like, for Device to do that for one round, that's kind of crazy. Like, you go, okay, he's just literally going to take the whole of outside. To do it again is mental. You're just going, they might not send someone there again. Just running all the way out there. So yeah, sheer confidence, and while this is one way to try and end the game, just running straight in towards the site versus what is pistols and SMGs. MSL desperately trying to find something through the smoke, but instead is caught out by his opposing side. Bomb will be planted after only 20 seconds within this round. That is something that's not that uncommon on Nuke, but when you consider things, there's not much to go on. There's no kit. There's not a whole lot of utility. Nico going to be trying to flash in his opponent. That's 2 missed Molotovs now, or at least a missed Molotov and a missed smoke, and it doesn't even matter. It makes no difference in the round. Config, this would have to be one of the greatest clutches of all time, and it is not going to be happening. That is one of the fastest maps I think I've casted in a long, long time. Utter dominance from Astralis on their opponent's map pick. Like we saw previously, OpTic attempting something on Vertigo as they wanted to at least throw a spanner in the works. They then go to one of the bread